The Buffalo Bills were 13 seconds away from hosting the AFC Championship in Orchard Park. Then disaster struck. Soft coverage allowed the Chiefs to force OT, which was followed by the Bills being on the wrong end of a coin toss. That led to their season coming to a heartbreaking end without Josh Allen getting a chance to touch the football in overtime. Coming into this season, amongst the biggest believers in the Bills, the odds makers in Vegas, who have instilled Buffalo as the Super Bowl favorites. A roster already built to win got even better over the offseason, with the most notable addition being Von Miller, who will attempt to become the first player in NFL history to win 3 Super Bowls with 3 different franchises.
Excited to go win. I'm excited to go win a Super Bowl in this city. I'm excited to see Bills Mafia go crazy.
Elsewhere on defense, the other biggest addition figures to be the return of Tre'Davious White at some point this season. Their number 1 corner, who was sorely missed in the playoff loss to the Chiefs. Just in case White isn't ready for Week 1 as he recovers from a torn ACL, they continue to bolster their secondary in the draft, selecting cornerback Kaiir Elam in round 1. But if this team is indeed going to get over the hump, it will have to be the MVP favorite, Josh Allen, who is going to take them there. The electric dual threat signal caller was at his best in the postseason, which still wasn't enough. Just another driving force for a player and team that needs no extra motivation.
The main goal is to win world championships, and we got to find a way to get it done. But again, it starts with Week 1.
Will the Bills hitch their wagons all the way to Glendale? Or have they not quite gotten past one of the most gut-wrenching playoff losses in league history? It's Super Bowl or bust for a proud franchise still searching for their first championship.
And with that, we say good morning to our guys, Pete Prisco and Ryan Wilson there in camp with the Bills. And guys, there's no secret, expectations are all-time high when it comes to this organization, more than we've seen in the years past. Favorite to win this season, to win the whole thing. What's the buzz around this group heading into this year?
Well, I know one thing they don't want to hear about is 13 seconds. That's for sure. Don't mention that. I don't think they like that too much, and rightfully so. Because if they don't lose to the Chiefs, I really believe that they go on and win it all. I thought they were the best team last year. They go into this season, and there's a feeling that they're the best team this year, and I would agree with that 100%. They have every piece in place, except maybe the cornerback situation, which is questionable with the injury to Tre'Davious White. But they are loaded, and they got an MVP candidate, Josh Allen.
Yeah, Josh Allen's been your guy since day one out of Wyoming. Maybe the offensive line has some injury issues. They're coming back. They're getting healthy. But as Pete mentioned, cornerback is probably the biggest concern as Trey White comes back from an ACL except for November. Pete, you always make fun of me for asking questions, but I'll ask this question. Is there the concern that there's too much pressure going in ahead? Usually it's Kansas City this time of year. Historically it's been the Patriots. Everyone knows, including the Bills and Sean McDermott, the head coach, that they are the team to beat. Any concerns about that at this time of the year?
No, I don't think so. I think they felt and built on last year. And sometimes you have to get the heartbreak to move to the next level. And we know the Bills as a franchise have known a lot of heartache, and they went back to 4 Super Bowls. That tells you something about their organization. I think this group has the same type of mentality, so I don't think it derails them. I think they're fine.
Everything starts with QB1, your guy, Pete, when it comes to Josh Allen. Everything trending towards him to have a better season than we saw last year. He's coming at plus 700 to win MVP. Chances he takes that leap and that title once the season concludes?
Well, I think they got to run the ball better to really help him. I thought he ran the ball too much last year. I think they have to cut down on that a little bit. But, man, he could put up some big numbers. I know the fantasy players love the fact that he runs the football. I'd like to see him be more conventional in the pocket, not run as much. Yeah, use that ability to escape the pocket, make plays downfield with your arm, which he does a lot of. But his numbers rushing last year, he had 7 games of 50-plus yards. That's too many for a quarterback. I know he's a big, strong guy, but they have to cut that down a little bit. I think he's going to be better when when they can run the ball, and I think they're going to be better being able to run the ball this year.
Well, this is a big concern early on in Russell Wilson's career, and you sort of talked about it, that Russ looked to run early, and we see the evolution of Josh Allen. I think as he continues to grow and continues to be that MVP player that we know he can be, he'll spend more time in the pocket. And I think they've gone about the draft and free agency in terms of surrounding Josh Allen with players that can help both in terms of running the ball, like Pete loves. We've known that. Pete's been a running back first guy for 50 years now. And also with playmakers on the outside, which we'll see today at practice, I'm sure. I secretly love Justin Herbert in terms of the MVP race, but it's hard to argue that Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes aren't 1 and 1A, I think, in that race.
Allen, of course, the favorite, as I mentioned, plus 700 heading into week 1. I mentioned that backfield, James Cook. We know he came from Georgia. Naturally, you're going to get comparisons with his brother Dalvin there, another piece of that backfield. How has he kind of impressed so far when it comes to his game?
Mostly as a receiver.
Yep.
I mean, he's one of those guys that they're going to get him out in space and get him the football in the receiving game. And, you know, you compare him to his brother. I think his brother's a little bit better inside runner, more explosive. But this Cook can catch the ball out of the backfield just like his brother Dalvin. So I think this is going to be more of one of those guys that you use on third down. You get him the ball in space. You line him out wide. And you can get creative with him on the field because he creates problems for linebackers. I think he'll create problems for safeties, and you might have to match him up with a nickel corner at times. So it's a pleasant problem to have, and we know they have a ton of receivers. So this offense, I think, might end up being more explosive as a pass offense than even they were a year ago.
I thought you were going to say more explosive than the Chiefs. I wasn't even going to argue with that. I think that's right. And to your point, when they drafted James Cook in the second round, I thought that was a little too high. We talked about that in Las Vegas at the time. But they had a plan. They knew what the plan was for him, and that's to use him as a pass receiver. He can run the ball. He is not Dalvin Cook, as Pete alluded to. That was Zamir White's job at Georgia, to sort of run between the tackles. But when you have the playmakers they have, and Steph Diggs, and Dawson Knox, the tight end, and Gabriel Davis, who's making his name, Khalil Shakir, the rookie as well, and then you add James Cook as the fourth or fifth option, that puts a lot of pressure on defenses, and that was the plan all along back in April when they drafted him, and that will continue to be the plan as we head into the season here in a few weeks.
You guys got to mention there at the top there about Tre'Davious White, still waiting for him to return there in that secondary. They did address it in the draft. Kyer Elam, in that stacked defense. How does he kind of plug in? You know, if White is not ready, is he going to be ready to go come week 1 or maybe be a key contributor here?
Well, I can tell you what, if White isn't there in week 1, and there's still some optimism, he's doing some work on the side. He was doing some change of direction stuff last week, which is a good thing for a guy coming off an ACL. But if he's not ready in week 1, Elam is going to have a bullseye. I mean, they're going to go right at him. That's what you do with a rookie on the field. If they will go at him anyway, but if White isn't there, they're really going to go at him. And here's the other thing. Their quarterback situation isn't great around them. Teron Johnson's a good player at the nickel corner. Dane Jackson will have to step up and be a starting cornerback. And he started some last year and was impressive at times. But that's the one area of concern. If White isn't on the field for game 1, that's going to be a concern for them. A
lot more pressure on Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer, the safeties who've been here forever. Poyer's still dealing with an elbow injury, so that's a slight concern. But to the point of the cornerback, Kyer Elam came out tall, fast, physical in breaking up pass plays, not as physical in run support at Florida. That can obviously change over the course of the career. But Pete mentioned the word target, and when you read the headlines coming out of Bill's camp, it's been every single day Josh Allen is going after Kyer Elam, probably to make him better in part, but also because he's getting open. And I think that's something you have to worry yourself with.
You know how you can make the corners better? Be better up front. And that's why they went out and got Von
right.
Miller. You know, game on the line, sack, fumble, game over. That's what Von Miller provides.
Defense wins championships. We'll see if that's the case for the Bills here heading into the season. Pete Prisco, Ryan Wilson, appreciate your time out there hanging with the Bills. Of course, the favorites to win it all at plus 700. Don't forget the friends there. It's Pick 6, always breaking it down. You got Will Brinson joined by John Breach. Look at the NFC South and all those teams also reacting to the latest regarding Deshaun Watson and the Browns heading into week.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.